Jono! Hi!
Full frontal
Hello, Ian.
Who's that? Turn it off.
Welcome to the presentation of prizes for Captain's Day. I don't intend to stand up here and do any talking because I think Pat's speech is about 10 pages long. I hope you have about 10 drinks in front of you. The only comment I will make on Pat is that most of you who have played captain's days over the last few years know that captain set the course reasonably hard. Any of you know Pat knew he'd be different. He made the course easy and just made the weather hard. We're going to get proceedings underway. If I could call upon the lady captain to say a few words, please.
Mr. Captain, Mr. President, Mr. Vice Captain, Madam Vice Captain, guests, ladies and gentlemen. There's a framed photo in our house of 3 men, one in his 90s, one in his 80s and one in his 60s, namely Phil McManus, Nigel Ferguson and Brian Fitzsimons. They're all leaning back on their chairs, looking up, glued to the big screen here, and 2 of them have smiles on their faces, and one is biting his tongue. One horse is winning for the 2 that are smiling, and the other horse is losing, or that same horse is losing for Phil McManus. But Pat took the photograph, and he captured the moment perfectly, as he has done on so many occasions in the clubhouse. Pat is passionate about 3 things that I know of: his family, his cigarettes, and the All-Ireland team. I'm not going to go into his passion for Nuala and the love he has for his son, but I am going to go into the passion he has for his cigarettes. The ladies do things a little bit differently from the men, and our team captains often would have a goodie bag for the players that are playing on the team. Well, the mixed team were going out last year when Pat was the captain, and he came along with all these packets, and the girls thought it was something. But as he drew closer, they realised that they were all packets of cigarettes. And as time went on, they didn't get any, and then they realised that that really was Pat's kind of survival kit bag for the day. And that was only for the first round. He's extremely generous to the ladies section. He gives of his time so willingly, not only by helping us out with computer difficulties, but also with his talent as a photographer. I'd like to say thanks, Pat, for capturing the moments for me last Saturday, and thank you from all the ladies for the ease and pleasantness you always display when we approach you with any queries. Congratulations on your day today.
Thank you very much, Lady Captain. And now, folks, if I could call upon the man of the moment to give a very short address, shouldn't be more than about 2 hours long. If I could call upon the captain, Sir Pat McNaney.
Thank you very much, Lady Captain, for those kind words. It pays to keep on the ladies. Mr. President, Mr. Vice Captain, Lady Captain, Vice Lady Captain, gentlemen, ladies, or should it be all the way around, ladies and gents. You're all very welcome here tonight, and there's a great crowd here, and it's a pleasure to see so many faces. And from a personal point of view, you have to look at it that, in a sense, you're probably supporting me by coming here, and I'm greatly indebted to you for coming here. I want to clear up one thing that happened last week. That was Lady Captain's Day. I happened to mention the fact that I had taken 65 photographs of Ellie around the clubhouse. And that she'd changed into different outfits. I don't know, those that don't drink around the clubhouse won't be aware that there's a regular group that do. And they're wise men, so they know everything about everything. And they criticised me for my approach in that speech. They turned around and said, what was Eddie doing there? And I said, I told everybody it was none of their business to do that there. You can't arouse people's curiosity, so you can't, and then say it's none of your business. Why do you even mention it in the first place? And I wasn't particularly worried about that there, but there was one thing that worried me. Last Saturday night, after the speeches and what have you, her husband approached me. And the rest of the people, I wasn't too worried about the curiosity, but he seemed to be suspicious because he said, I'll have to keep an eye on you in future. Now there's two things I said. One was I was speaking to her on the phone for 50 minutes. And the other one was about the photographs. And I want to clear this up for Brian Fitzsimon's banner, so I do. The only reason I was speaking to her for 50 minutes on the phone was that she needed a joke last week, and I was trying to explain to her about the Maureen Potter joke. And anybody that was here last week will know that the Maureen Potter joke's a long, complicated thing. So in telling her what to say in the Maureen Potter joke, I had to keep going over and over it on the phone, and that's why we got 50 minutes. And the second thing about the photographs, the lady captain wanted a professional to for a photograph in the hallway. So she did. That's where all the lady captains are, for those that have gone down to the ladies' locker room. So she was trying out to see what I could produce. So that's why I was taking so many photographs and just changing into so many outfits. So I hope that satisfied Brian's curiosity, but and even suspicions, you know, because he's a big man and I wouldn't like to fall out with him. But something happened during the week where I think maybe that turned the tables on this man. Into my possession came a photograph. Now most of you probably won't be able to see it from here. So I'm going to ask probably the most upright man in this club, the Honorary Secretary, to have a look at it and to explain to you what it depicts, this image. So I just call him in here to explain to you. So totally independent, and as you know, the Secretary is a man.
Damien.
Brian, how much is this worth to say nothing?
Damien. Thank you.
For those of you that are interested, it's a photograph of the lady captain's husband with his arm around the captain's wife.
All I can tell you, Brian, is I'll be keeping an eye on you in the future. When I was 11 years of age, I had a granduncle who used to take me to Dublin, and we went for the GAF final and for the hurling final. And at that age, it was a big treat to be taken to Dublin, and there was no bypass at that stage, so it was a long haul. But he was a religious man, and he always liked to ensure he stopped off somewhere along the line for Sunday Mass. And I observed him over a 4 or 5 or 6 year period when you'd land here and you were working a tight time schedule because you ended up having to go and get your lunch and you had to go there for the minor match, then you had to go there for the senior match, etc. So it was a tight time schedule. But when you go into, I always noticed in church, sometimes you'd be sitting there looking interested and other times you'd be sitting looking bored. And when you'd come out, you had 2 descriptions to describe what had happened if it was a short one where there was maybe 2 or 3 minutes of a sermon, he'd have come out and he'd have said short and sweet. But if he'd got the full works, a long sermon, somebody that was very slow, he'd come out and say, "We got the value for money there." Now, I'm thinking about this speech tonight, for what I thought I did give it, but I ended up thinking that these people don't want a value for money speech there tonight. I made an instant decision. I'll reduce it from possibly the 2 hours I had planned. It'll only be about 40 minutes now. The only thing about this speech, besides being reasonably short at 40 minutes, and a couple of weeks ago Neil asked me, "What are you going to say in your speech?" And I said, "I have not a notion, I haven't even thought about it." And she said, "Whatever you do, don't tell any jokes." And I said, "Why not?" He says, "Because you're no good at them." As Frank Carson says, the way you tell them, and apparently I tell them bad. So this, not only will this be a reasonably short 5 or 76, pretty confused. Kieran Grumley said to me, "Why not join the golf club?" And Kieran's here tonight. At that point in time, I was a member of the cricket rugby club on the Mall. Living on the Mall, it was quite handy to walk over to the rugby cricket club. Oh, I was just a social member, I wasn't playing rugby or cricket. But Kieran, I did watch him with a pint in hand. When Kieran said join the rugby club or the golf club, I thought that he was talking about joining as a social member. I remember paying about 32 or 33 pounds at the time, thinking this is dear, and the rugby club, it's only a fiver, it's about 33 pounds up. There, then I thought maybe it's up market or something like there. I was here for a couple of weeks before Kieran says, "When are you starting to play golf?" And I said, "I've absolutely no interest in golf." But he says, "You're a full member, you need to join or play." And I ended up buying a half set of clubs, and as usual, the usual story, once you got the first par, you're hooked on. Once you get your first birdie, you're delirious about the game. But golf by itself, if you went out to play that course every time by yourself, you wouldn't enjoy it. You need people around you for to enjoy it too. And over the years, I have to say that I've met some tremendous people around this golf club, and it's nearly become a second home to me.
Really?
I've done different jobs around this club over the years. I thought, whenever I was enjoying the place so much, I should do something, and I've done a range of posts around here. On this year, I've never been captain centre. So I have to tell you, at different times, people have come along and said to me, "I'm sure you've been asked to be captain before and you've refused it." And that's a very sort of awkward type of question when people ask you. You have to box very clever. If a man comes up to a woman who thinks that she's ugly and says you're a very attractive woman, if there's any chance he's not going to admit that, he's going to make some comment like, "You're not the first person to tell me that." And likewise, when people come along and ask you, "Have you ever been captain?" or "You've been asked to be captain for a number of occasions," I would give them an old Princess Diana, Tony Blair, downward glance, shy bashful glance, and say, "No comment." There's no greater phrase, "not there, no comment," in that type of scenario, because I feel for certain, if you hadn't been that you would say, "I was never asked," and if you had been, you would say, "I was asked." The minute you say "no comment," I think they've got you. I sat there. But I'm, in the week of Bill Clinton is coming clean, I'm going to tell you here now, until this year I was never asked to be captain by anybody. there's a lot of people around here that's been a member a long time, but the serious business about being asked to be captain, it's, you know, it's nearly a bit like a secret society. Well, the majority of people around here wouldn't know what form it's used for. I mean, a lot of you maybe think that the current captain goes and asks somebody and they accept it, you know. But there's more to it, and I'd probably be held the next council meeting for the reveal and all this here. But I think it's time you knew it. If any of you have ever heard of the executive committee around here, an exclusive bunch of people, of which at the minute I'm one of them. What they do is that the current captain nominates 1 or 2 or 3 people or whatever, and all their preference for captaincy. And the executive committee meet, and they run their critical eye over this person's credentials. And last September time, I was scheduled to go to a meeting in Belfast, and it was cancelled at the last minute. And I walked down to the club, and I was looking for my brother-in-law, and he wasn't back. And I said to John Pearson, have you seen Sammy back? And he said, oh, they're upstairs, they're holding an executive meeting. And at the time being the secretary and being the person who normally organised that there, I didn't get Sherlock Holmes to know that. And I sat drinking a pint, and these boys appeared down at the committee room, and the minute they see me, they were like guilty schoolboys running around, trying to hide from me. But being the gentleman I was, I didn't say anything. I was just suspicious. It's not often you see Damien Murray with a sheepish look about him, but he had that night. So Sammy called me aside, brought me into another room and asked me if I would like to be captain this year. And he was at pains to tell me, this is in recognition of the work you have done around this club. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're my brother-in-law. And I said, well, maybe that's fair enough, Sammy. I sat there. And you know, sometimes, you know, have you ever been in a situation where you go to somebody and say you're in bad form, and they say, no, I'm not in bad form, and then you say, oh, you are in bad form. It went on like that sort of cycle. I sat there, he says, you do believe me now, you know, it's not family patronage at all. It's nothing to do with the fact that I'm brother-in-law. And eventually I got to the extent that, you know, just saying, yes, I do believe it wasn't enough. So I turned around and I said, Sammy, the idea never entered my head at all, and I can speak for the membership of this club. It wouldn't enter their head at all. And sometimes you have to lie through your teeth in order to reassure people, don't you? I think one of the things that I've enjoyed around this club, as much as Eileen referred to it earlier, was being a team captain. Probably more than any different jobs that I've done. And there's 2 teams that stand out in my mind. One is the Sam Rutherford team. When we won the Sam Rutherford Cup in 1998, and I was team captain of it. And the final was played at Kilkeel. Now, for those who don't know what the Sam Rutherford Cup is, it's a greensome match. It normally involves single figure men, maybe playing with 12 or 14 men, handicappers. And what happens is that you play each hole out to the finish. There's no such thing as winning a match. So maybe your first match wins by 2 holes, your second match wins by a hole, your third match wins by a hole, and your last match wins by 8 holes, or loses by 8 holes. You're 4 holes down. So it's a whole sort of total team effort. Now we were 6 holes up in Armagh playing the first leg. And I personally didn't think we had a chance going to Kilkeel for that. Such a good team, and Kilkeel is such a hard course. But we went down there anyway, and I did my best to motivate the team. No matter what the honorary secretary might tell you, the contrary, I did my best to motivate. And motivation is a funny thing because you have to treat people differently. It all depends on their personalities. You can get some people now, there's a 4-ball, 2 pairs that were critical of the outcome of that match. And that was Niall McGurgan and Conor McGurgan. And the other pair were Martin Daly and the honorary secretary, Damon Murray. With the McGurgan boys, you had to sort of gently coach them along, try and install a bit of confidence in them, etc. like there. Murray Daly's a bit of a centre, I hope he doesn't mind me saying. He just needs to be left alone. He believes he's good, and as long as he does that there, he's alright. Our honorary secretary is a more complex person. At times he can be totally indifferent to what's happening on in the match, etc. And I have found from experience that the only way you can really get him going is to make him mad. So during the rounds prior to that, I was doing different things like dropping him, you know, and not playing him and various things. And when he went to Kilkeel, he looked to be slightly aggressive and intent, so he did. And I don't normally watch these matches because the boys get a bit put off and I'm juking behind hedges and various things out there. But at the Kilkeel club, looks down on the 18th green, and I was standing there with the vice captain of Kilkeel, and Damien and Marty appeared, and I had got word back from the scouts that the match was very close, and there was just a couple of holes in it. So I was slightly nervous. When Damien arrived, finished out the hole, and he was walking off the green, and I was looking down at him, and he looked up at the clubhouse, and we made that eye-to-eye contact. And he made some sort of gesture with his hand, and I'm a bit short-sighted, I wasn't sure. I said to the vice captain, I said, "Is that the V sign for victory, or is he saying that he's 2 up?" And he says, "No, I think it's ruder than that there." I have to say that the vice captain of the club was a bit, you know, was a bit taken aback by this sort of approach. But I was just smiling like a Cheshire cat. And I thought to myself, what a brilliant team captain you are. You made him as mad as hell before he went out. He was as mad as hell during the round. And he's just finished the round 1, probably by all accounts, but he's still as mad as hell. It's memories I get there of teams that make you look back. So there's a fun as etc. Another team which Eileen has referred to as All Ireland Mixed, who were came so close to that last year till it. But we had a wonderful time in that team last year, etc. And I had a personal assistant in the shape of Ronnie Toll. And Ronnie Toll got that team geared to no end, so she had all sorts of training and mental techniques that they had to follow. 2 of which include deep breathing and pelvic thrust. Now I don't want to give too much away about this technique because it's not on the file, but I can assure you that the opposition were put off when at the first tee they seen our team carrying out deep breathing and pelvic thrust. But we really enjoyed it, no end, so we did. And I think at the Friday when we lost at Malone, I was sitting along with Flo McCall, who was a hero recently at Oma over Ballybuffet, and she started to cry, and I said to Flo, trying to comfort her, you know, you can't win them all, it's only a game. And she said, I'm not crying because we lost, I'm crying because this is all over. That was the sort of trip we were having there. Now the worst, I mean, I had so much feeling for that team that I wanted to do it this year. I didn't think that there was any problem about doing, you know, waking up and jumping the club and jumping the team. But our captain at that time, Steve Brown, said you can't do that. And I said, why not? And he gave me a list of reasons. It's that you won't have the time, it's that you won't be able to give full commitment and various things. And he ended up persuading me. I says, all right, you're right, I shouldn't do it. And then he promptly offered his own services. And there I was scratching my head wondering, is this good advice I just got, or have I just been conned? And now he's as bad as me, so as he came back from home and he said, the thrill of watching the tension, Saturday, watching Phil McCall sinking that putt at the 18th for the match was nearly too much. He says, you wouldn't have believed it. I said, I've been there, seen it. There's only one answer to this next year. Since you're hooked now, joint captaincy next year. Well, at any rate, that's just a few recollections from my point of view about the golf club. I'd like to thank the different people that have been involved today, making the day a successful day for me. The flowers this morning, Audrey Kellett, Bernie Rice, Rosemary McSorley and Margaret McNaney helped out. Well, not this morning, it was yesterday. They were actually doing in the early hours from about 10 to 1 or 2 o'clock. They're working away like beavers. The ladies that helped at the coffee morning this morning, and I'd particularly like to thank Hilary and Alan Johnson for sponsoring the scones, pancakes that they do. During the year I have thanked sponsors and I've meant it. But you see when it would affect your own pocket if they hadn't sponsored it, you really mean it from the bottom of your heart. So thank you Alan and Hilary, it was much appreciated. I'd like to Barry McGuigan here and thank every person in council or committee, just in case I keep you in order. But thanks very much to the council and the different committees in the club for the work that they've done during the year and the contribution they've given to make this a successful day for me. I very much appreciate it. Green staff who've carried out a wonderful job and leading the course in superb order. And to the bar staff who've been here all day supplying drink. And to the catering staff who supplied meals for people. Until Alan and Connor and Gareth in the professional shop who did the charge. I'd also like to thank my 2 sisters for coming here, and my aunt Celine and my son Gavin. And most of all, I'd like to thank my wife, who during the years occasionally in exasperation said to me, why don't you take your bed down to that place? The membership in the club today overwhelmed the number of gifts, number of the goodwill shown to me today, and I remember it for the rest of my life. And I thank you very much for all that kindness. Thank you.
I'm glad I have a thick skin. And your eyesight wasn't good. We won 3 holes.
Makes a change.
We're not going to say a word, Mr. Past Captain. If, folks, I could call upon Martin Oliver to announce the prize winners, and if I could ask Nuala to come up and help Pat present the prizes.
Karen.
Now for the boring, but how do you follow the man with that? This morning at 7 o'clock the weather was very, very bad, and I felt very sorry for people that were going out this morning. My job this morning was to make sure people peed off on time, And with the rain the way it was and the wind it was, I hadn't the heart to tell people to go on. But one player that was out this morning made it worth his while, and the captain has agreed that we should mark the event. Pat Toner had a hole in one today. So, there are several stories about how he done it, from the fourth fairway over to the third green. But as Pat would come up, the captain wants to offer a bottle in celebration of their team. We come now to the girls. The juvenile girls 9-hole runner-up was Alexander McNaney with 64. The winner in the juvenile girls 9-hole competition was Elizabeth Colvin. She sent her apologies. She's away on holidays, so I think Karen's going to collect on her behalf. We go then to the juvenile girls 18-hole competition. Runner-up was Emma Stewart with 38 points. Emma was away and she apologised. She's in Dublin playing hockey for the Irish team. So that's the last turn. And the winner of the juvenile girls 18-hole competition was Erin Conley with the net 48 points. The ladies' putting competition was won by Barbara Gartman with 34 putts. Again, Karen's going to collect. Next, the prize for the Ladies All-Ireland Mix 2003-2004 was won by Gillian Poole. Gillian sends her apologies. Flo McCall. Flo, is it? In the ladies' competition on Thursday, in fourth place was Ellen Brady with 37 points. third place was Bernie Rice with 39 points. And the ladies runner-up was Paul McCrory with 41 points. And the winner of the ladies' prize, again for another prize, Gillian True, to be selected by the with 43 points.
Mr. Captain, Lady Captain, Mr. President, I want to apologise for Gillian tonight. She wasn't able to come, but she had a previous appointment. She has been asked to be bridesmaid at a very good friend's wedding, and this is their hen weekend. So as you know now, these things happen far away, and Gillian is not in the country at the moment, so I apologise for it. But on behalf of Gillian, who is absolutely delighted to have won this prize and has given her apologies to Pat, I want to say thank you from the ladies' branch for the beautiful gift and the very generous gifts that Pat has given to all the ladies, and for his time. Thank you.
We move on to the boys. Juvenile boys runner-up was John Quinn with 42 points. And the winner of the juvenile boys section is James Conlon with 43 points. And the visitor's prize today was won by someone we all know from the past, Billy Todd. The prize for the student and country member was won by Andy Donaldson with 39 points. We're moving on now to the Council Committee Members Prize, which was won by Philip Russell with 38 points. We move on now to the Past Captain, Past President's Prize, which was won by that complex character that Pat mentioned earlier on, Damien Murray with 38 points.
No speech.
Now we have the Gross Prize, which was won by Nigel. I'm not saying what was written beside it. Nigel Calvin with 70. We move on now to the category 19 to 28. Category 19 to 28 was won by Kenny Richardson with 42 points. We go now to the 13 to 18 handicap, and the winner of it with 43 points was John McCusker.
Recording somebody, did you? What? Recording?
Kennedy. Kennedy.
In the 0 to 12 category, the winner with 40 points was Kieran Campbell. Kieran, I did phone his home when I was told he was here. There he comes. And I come to the final prize, the captain's prize, for the winner with 43 points, beating John on the back line, Anthony Durain. Thank you. When you hear me talk, you know I'm not from here. So. First of all, Mr. Captain, thank you very much. Vice Captain, Honour Secretary, Mr. President, Ladies Captain and Vice Ladies Captain, and Jim McNaney. Thank you very much. Today is just unbelievable. It's probably second time getting married. It's
No, it's better.
I just want to thank the club committees, especially the green staff. I think the course has been looking absolutely fantastic the last couple of weeks. There's no excuses. After 9 holes today, there's no way I thought I had a half a chance. When I came in after 18 holes, I spoke to a teammate on the Colby Cup team, and he told me that Kenny told me that I said to my 43 points, he said I had a great chance of winning it. I would not believe him. He sent me home to get a shirt and tie. So here I am. Apologies to Richard Smith because I'm probably going to get cut. So I'm sorry, and all I said, everybody, I'm just overwhelmed. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I call upon someone to second the vote of thanks, I think I'll call upon Billy Todd to say a few words on behalf of the visitors.
Mr. Captain, ladies and gentlemen, for the most of you who know me, this is something I've never been very good at, but I would like to say that the score didn't reflect the way I played. Is that right, Paddy? What I would like to say is that I've been involved and associated with this golf club for a long, long time, and it's lovely coming back to see the old faces and the new faces. And I would like to congratulate all the prize winners. I think the scores are magnificent. I think Pat's prizes were absolutely gorgeous, and it's really nice to be a part of that. And, judging by the scores, I think that County Armagh Golf Club is a force to be reckoned with in all handicaps and all team events and so on and so forth. But just like to wish everyone good golf, peace and happiness. Thank you.
And if I could call upon Mr. John White, second vote of thanks to the captain, please.
Mr. Captain, Mr. President, Chairman of the Ulster Branch, Madam Captain, Mr. Vice Captain, Madam Vice Captain, ladies and gentlemen. When asked to propose this vote of thanks, my mind went back to 1995 and Geraldine Joyce's Lady Captain's Day. Unfortunately, you probably have gathered, so did my voice. But our current Lady Vice Captain, Audrey Kellett, used the letter C as the theme for her speech on that day. She described Geraldine as cool, calm and collected. Unfortunately, I can't use those words today. Nevertheless, I want to borrow the theme and use a few other words beginning with C, which I hope you will pick up on the way through. Pat, first of all, I want to congratulate you on your captaincy and on this wonderful Captain's Day. But more than that, I want to pay compliment to you and the contribution and commitment you have made to this club over many, many years. Ladies and gentlemen, as Pat said, he joined the club in 1976, and I know it's very hard to believe, but he was actually a committed, capable and competitive golfer, playing regularly, and particularly in mixed foursomes with Nan Donnelly. Although he plays a little less nowadays, he has certainly on the playing front made a very significant contribution to Paddy Loughlin's bank balance. Even though buggies were not available in those days, Pat played on a winning Rossmore Cup team in 1994 and was also a keen member of the Inter-Counties Golf Society, which brings me to a little story about another C, the cigarette. The society was returning from a trip to Scotland, and everyone was waiting on the quayside at Larne for the coach to bring them home. Pat, as he did, shuffled off to have a cigarette or two, sat down to relax, fell asleep, and yes, you guessed it, he missed the coach and spent the night in Larne RUC station. Another little thought for you. As you all know, Pat's smoking ability is legendary. And it's interesting to note that if this club was in the south, Pat would actually have missed today. More seriously though, C stands for convener and committee. Joining the club, Pat has acted as convener of the competitions committee, the finance committee, and of course he was the membership and subscriptions committee. And in these roles, and particularly the latter, his work has been tireless, his contribution absolutely fantastic, and maybe just a little unrecognised. Pat, although there are those who would say that you may just like working with June in that smoke-filled room, on behalf of the members of this club, I thank you. We owe you a huge debt of gratitude for that outstanding work. Now, C also stands for computer, and again, Pat's contribution has been immense. He has guided us into and through the computer age, and of course with Damien and Davy's help, has brought the club into the modern era, introducing the GUI card system and of course bringing till systems to the club. And I shouldn't forget our website managed by the other C, Cormac. C is also for camera, and many of us have not fallen victim to Pat and his digital camera, held at arm's length of course. Just in passing, another couple of little anecdotes. C is also for Cheltenham, and as you know, Pat likes a little flutter. But just wonder how many club captains take 3 days off work for the famous festival. He does, you know. You may not like this, but C is also for culinary skills, or perhaps the lack of them. But I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, this story is true. But one day, Nuala was going to see her sister Mary and asked Pat to look after the potatoes, the rest of the evening meal having been prepared. Well, after about 20 minutes, things weren't going too well. So Pat jumped in the car, drove down the road. Nuala, come on, quick, get in the car. And Nuala was
Sorry, Neil. But she was greeted at the door with dense smoke. In fact, things were so bad that they thought about ringing for a fireman siren. The moral of this story is, next time, put water in the saucepan. And now to my captaincy, team captaincy that is. Many of you will not know that Pat has captained many clubs over the years, club teams over the years, including the winning junior county team of '87, and as Pat referred to himself, the winning Sam Rutherford team of '98, and of course the team closest to his heart, I think, the mixed foursomes team, which made the Ulster final last year. As a team captain, Pat, you're absolutely inspirational and encouraging, and you can be judged by your results. And I know from personal experience the efforts that you put into team selection, and you have explained to the members tonight your thinking on motivation. I tell you that the team members really worry because you've all been psyched out. But even worse than that, Pat, I know the agony that you suffer while watching, even though it may be from the clubhouse and not the court. Pat, thank you once again. And Pat, last but not least, to your captain's year and to this captain's day. Throughout the year, you've worn the blazer with pride, and we are proud of you as you have represented us in the manner we have expected of you. You've been fair and even-handed, supported our teams, welcomed our sponsors, and chaired council meetings to good effect, striking the balance between course and clubhouse affairs. This has been a wonderful day, despite the early efforts of the weather. Absolutely beautiful prizes, slick organisation, superb course condition, well done Davy, good food, and most of all, wonderful companionship, and of course the traditional coffee morning. So I really want to thank both yourself and Mila, and of course the ladies committee. I'm just going to finish with an emphasis again on C. Pat, congratulations. On behalf of the members, I'm delighted to second the vote of thanks, not only for your captaincy and your contribution and commitment to this club. Long may it continue.
Thank you very much, John. And just a couple of last things to do, if I could call upon the captain to come back up. I would present the bouquet of flowers to the lady captain, or call upon the lady captain. And if I could call upon the President's wife, Sadie, please come up so the captain can present the bouquet of flowers. Sorry, Pat, this isn't your job. You're redundant in this case. If I could ask Lula to come up so that I can present the flowers this time. Ladies and gentlemen, the proceedings are over. The bar is about to open. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Lord,
This is one of the CD that I haven't saved here tonight. Hope everybody enjoys themselves. But I wonder if you knew where I have been. Why I'm playing it, and I will win. But I'm lower than baby, I'm just and you'll ever see the side. Why I think about you now and then. They hope that you will be back again. But I'm thinking about what I want to don't feel. And you'll never see the side. Inside of me, just walking down. 'Cause I know that you can see me running around. When I'm flying like a bird in the dream, and you never see you inside of me. 'Cause I know that you didn't say